Updated March 31, 2018, 7 hours 44 minutes and 11 seconds. Disability advocates have labelled allegations of assault against special needs students at a West Australian school as disturbing, but unsurprising. The Department of Education has confirmed its Standards and Integrity Directorate is investigating claims of physical misconduct by an employee of a Southwest school which caters to children with intellectual disabilities. The investigation relates to 2 allegations against the employee, including that they punched a student in the face while working at the school late last year. A department spokeswoman said the matter had been referred to police. It is understood another claim has also been made, alleging the employee had deliberately scratched and cut a separate student. People with Disabilities WA Executive Director Samantha Jenkinson said she was glad the allegations were being taken seriously. Some of the complaints mechanisms that we do have still tend to keep things quite internally focused and not actually take that issue and the seriousness of that issue to the next level, which involves police investigation, she said. Our experience has been that allegations sometimes get dealt with internally by different organisations or departments. The fact that it's been recognised as being serious and that the police are involved is really important. It is understood parents at the school, including the parents of the children involved, have not been informed of the allegations or the investigation. As misconduct investigations about school staff members usually require a high degree of discretion and confidentiality so the investigation is not compromised, school communities are not usually informed about the details of the investigation, the department spokeswoman said. A 2015 inquiry into the abuse and neglect of people with disabilities in residential and institutional settings heard the mistreatment of disabled people was chronically underreported, largely because victims were often not believed or couldn't communicate what had happened. Disability advocate Samantha Connor, who gave evidence to the inquiry, said she thought transparency was lacking when it came to investigations of violence against people with disabilities, particularly children. Complaints routinely go to the Department of Education and to its Standards and Integrity Division and they're rarely made public, she said. Perhaps having an independent statutory oversight body might be something that we need at a state government level so there is something independent of the Department of Education other than the police and justice system. Days after the inquiry began, former Federal Disability Discrimination Commissioner Graham Innes told a Perth forum that Western Australia had the country's weakest safeguards to protect people with a disability from violence and abuse. Ms. Connor said while the state had safeguards in place they didn't always work for those living with a disability. We have a national police history check and are working with children's card, but those things assume that the person's been caught and has been charged, she said. But that's not necessarily the case with disabled students because you need to be able to speak up in the first place. A key recommendation of the inquiry was for a royal commission into the abuse and mistreatment of disabled people. Topics: disabilities, public schools, primary schools, secondary schools, royal commissions, laws, child abuse. Bunbury 6230 WA. First posted March 31, 2018, 7 hours 42 minutes and 18 seconds.